Hello, Dodger fans, and a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the Dodger Beats after the game with Juan and Alonso. Alonso and Juan, I changed it up there, but Alonso is not going to be here tonight. He is on assignment. It's a very secretive mission. So tonight is the premiere of Juan Solo after the game. The Dodgers beat the Rays in Game 3 of the World Series, final score of 6-2. Walker Buehler takes the win. And what a difference a day makes, right, folks? Game 2, you were feeling a little worried. It was a bullpen game. But the big game pitcher, probably the best big game pitcher the Dodgers have had since Oral Hershiser. For those of you who are too young to remember, Oral Hershiser was a guy who basically the Dodgers could throw out every game in 1988, and you knew the Dodgers were going to win. Walker Buehler. Now, for those of you who are regulars and watch this show every day, you could see that in our post-game show after Game 2, I predicted who's going to be the big player of the game in Game 3. For me, it was Walker Buehler, and Walker Buehler did it. Ladies and gentlemen, Walker Buehler, listen to this line. 6 innings. He only gave up 3 hits. He gave up 1 run. He struck out 10. He had 1 walk. Struck out 10, okay, on 93 pitches. Walker Buehler is the first pitcher in World Series history to record a double-digit strikeouts in no more than 6 innings. I mean, yes, his pitch count was high, 93. I think 6 innings was the perfect amount of innings for him to go today. You don't want to push him. You had a nice cushion there. Plus, you had 3 relievers that we hadn't seen the whole series backing him up. So I think Dave Roberts did a really good job. I mean, Walker Buehler's 2020 postseason, he's got an ERA of 1.80. He has 39 Ks, okay, in 25 innings of work. I mean, the guy has just been. This is the Walker Buehler that I think every Dodger fan wants to see every day in the regular season. For some reason, it takes Walker Buehler some time to get into that form. Well, if this was a regular season, I mean, we are probably now around, the 80-game mark. This would be mid-season Walker Buehler form. And the perfect time for him is here in the playoffs. So Walker Buehler has just been fantastic. He set the tone. I mean, you saw in that first inning the way he was going through that lineup. It was going to be a rough night for the Rays. I mean, the Rays already struggled to score runs. And with Walker Buehler pitching the way he pitched tonight, you knew it just wasn't going to be their night. I want to go over quickly to the offense tonight because I think there's a couple of stars that stood out. And Austin Barnes. How about Austin Barnes, ladies and gentlemen? Now, Austin Barnes is a guy that between us and a couple of my friends here, we love to beat up on Austin Barnes. Austin Barnes was our whipping boy, right? He had that great season, and then after that, it just looked like he was outmatched every time he would go to the plate. Something happened to him this year. Now, maybe what happened to him is Mookie Betts. As our producer Roger likes to call Austin Barnes, he calls him Little Mookie. It was publicized that, Austin Barnes said it, that Mookie gave him some pointers, helped him out, and all of a sudden, after he did that, Austin Barnes started hitting. Now, you're going to hear a lot of ridiculous stats, and if you were listening to the broadcast, you're going to see that they come in. So Austin Barnes, I guess, is the first person to get an RBI on a sacrifice bunt and also hit a home run in a game. Now, I don't know who keeps track of these stats. I don't know who has that many opportunities, but Austin Barnes with a very big game, 2 RBIs today. The veteran, the guy who maybe you could argue during this whole playoff run, not just for this season, but for all these years that the Dodgers have been winning the division and going into the playoffs, Justin Turner. Justin Turner's average may not speak to his domination in the playoffs or that he's even having a good postseason, But in that first inning, he stepped up big. Those first two hitters, it looked like Charlie Morton was going to be on. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is the Charlie Morton that we saw in 2017. The Charlie Morton that won Game 7 for the Astros at Dodger Stadium and just mowed through the Dodgers lineup. Up steps Justin Turner in the first inning, and that home run changed everything. He then later on doubled off of Morton, and they were able to knock Morton out. So Justin Turner, and mind you, I mean, we're talking about Justin Turner's offense, but that play that he made to turn the double play on that little short hop there, Justin Turner, if he didn't play in a league that had Nolan Arenado on it, Justin Turner would probably be up in the running for a Gold Glove. Justin Turner is just bad luck, but just a real pro. And, he tied Duke Snider for the Dodgers record in postseason home runs today. So congratulations to Justin Turner. Hopefully either tomorrow or in Game 5, he hits another home run and he breaks the record and he stands alone in Dodger history as their home run leader. Mookie Betts. I mean, I really enjoy watching this man play. Mookie is just a guy who is just like a 5-tool player. And so he stole another 2 bases today. Now, maybe Mookie didn't have the big home run. Mookie didn't, have any dazzling, but that's 4 stolen bases in the series so far. Some people, it was brought up on the game. You saw their little graphic there, MVP watch. Is Mookie Betts the MVP of the World Series? I mean, I get it. It's only Game 3. We still don't know what's going to happen. The tide can turn just like that. But Mookie Betts is a guy that just affects every facet of the game. You saw in the NLCS what his defense did to turn that series around. And now, maybe it's not just his bat, but his speed on the base pads. I mean, the Dodgers don't steal bases. But Mookie Betts has already got 4 stolen bases, and you see what that kind of pressure on the base pads does to the Tampa Bay pitchers. It applies that pressure that I think then will allow the rest of the lineup to succeed. And talking about succeeding, how about Max Muncy? Max Muncy might be the only cleanup hitter that that is just looking for a walk. I just feel every time I see Max Muncy, he's not looking for a hit. He's looking for a walk. He's looking to make that pitcher work. And he gets these clutch walks. But he also had a clutch hit today that drove in 2 runs that took that lead from 1-0 to 3-0. So what you're seeing here is a trend. Every night it's a different guy for the Dodgers. And that has just got to be completely discouraging for the Rays. Because, just when they think we got Cody Bellinger in check, Corey Seager in check, and now you're getting beat by Mookie Betts, you're getting beat by Max Muncy, you're getting beat by Austin Barnes. This lineup, they scored 8 runs in the first game, They scored another 6 runs tonight. They scored 4 runs in the only game they've lost this series. So in order to beat the Dodgers, you have to score runs. How are you going to score runs when you got Walker freaking Buehler on the mound and you got the game that Kershaw is pitching? The Rays in these next 3 games, starting tonight, are facing the best pitchers in the postseason. Urias is on fire, and now if he comes out tonight and pitches a good game, the Rays may be in real trouble. So that's for the offense. One thing I just wanted to point out about good old Charlie Morton. I want to talk about Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton came into this game with an ERA in the postseason of .57, under 1 run. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was very nervous. I thought Charlie Morton was going to shut us down. All day long, all I heard on the radio, they closed the roof. This was going to be a pitcher's duel. It was going to be a low-scoring game. And I could see that. I was afraid that maybe Walker Buehler would make a mistake, and that mistake would be the difference in the game. But it was Charlie Morton that got taken to school. Now, as I said, his ERA was under 1 going into this game. Charlie Morton was the Rays opening day starter this year. He gave up 6 runs on opening day. The 4 runs that he gave up in tonight's game has been the most runs that he's given up in a game since opening day. So what the Dodgers did today was they took out what I think is probably, as well as Snell pitched in game 2, what they did was they just took out the Rays' best pitcher. And again, that's just got to be demoralizing. You're sending your best guy up there. You think, okay, we're going to take the momentum. We won game 2. We're going to take a 2-1 game lead. That's not going to happen. Now, what happened? What was the difference? Why were the Dodgers able to capitalize and take Morton out tonight? I have one very simple answer, and you may disagree, but for me, this is karma. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Morton is a part of the Astro 2017 World Series team. So Charlie Morton is a cheater. Charlie Morton has a ring because his team cheated. Now, I saw online there was an interaction where they were like, well, Charlie Morton didn't know because he was on the pitching side. It was the offense that was cheating with the trash cans and all that stuff. Look, those guys knew. Mike Friars knew. We wouldn't have known anything about this if it wasn't for Mike Friars coming out. So this excuse that the pitchers didn't know, I don't buy that. He's a cheater. And what happened tonight was karma. And this is part of the Dodgers' cosmic revenge tour as they try to win the World Series. They are trying to get that ring because it is owed to them after what happened to them in 2017. And it gave me such joy to be able to see Charlie Morton take one on the chin tonight and just, get hit hard because he did. Justin Turner, I mean, everybody was hitting him hard.
Hey, Juan, real quick.
Yes, sir. Voice in the sky, Roger. That's our
if you saw our Twitter feed, I was tweeting that all night tonight. It was such a satisfaction to see Charlie Morton get hit hard. And I think in part is, the Dodger players coming into this game, they had that chip on their shoulder. They knew they wanted to get to him. And we got that response too, like, oh, he's on the pitching side, which is a bunch of bull. Because if you go back and you look at when he first arrived with the Rays, they asked him about it, and he was saying like, oh yeah, you could hear the trash bags in the dugout, you could hear all this, blah blah blah. I felt like maybe I should have done more, blah blah blah. Same excuse, but like, it's still helping him out because it could have been, I don't know which games he was in, but I'm sure those banging in those games and, got him some extra runs as well, right? So, he didn't speak up. He's a cheater. They're all they're all cheaters, and they got what they deserve tonight.
Well, so what kind of other feedback did you see about that online? Was that the only thing you got, or were people actually out there defending Morton?
Most people, agreed that, yeah, he's a cheater. But, you get the ones, it was a Rays fan saying, like, he was a pitcher. I'm like, yeah, he's still part of the team. He was still part of that team that cheated and didn't say anything because it benefited him at the time. Once he wasn't there, and they got caught is when they spoke up.
And this is what I love about you, Roger. You're never going to forget. You're never going to forget what they did to us in 2017. And we need to make every single one of those guys pay.
Exactly.
And that's why I would have loved to see. I get it. I get the argument that the Astros don't deserve to be here. They had a losing record. But, man, there's a part of me that wishes they would have made the World Series just so we could stick it to them and win the championship by beating them this year. One thing I want to get into is not only was this was just the best case scenario tonight for the Dodgers. The offense was clicking, Buehler was great, and then you go to your top relievers, the ones that still haven't seen action in the series. Blake Treinen, clean inning, looked good. Gratterall looked good. Now, Kenley, it was so funny to me because Kenley comes in and immediately everybody is talking him up on the broadcast. They're all saying that, wow, Kenley hasn't looked like this. If he figured something out, this is going to completely change everything for the Dodgers. And then what happens? Randy Arozarena takes him deep. Now, mind you, he had a 5-run lead, and he challenged him. It was funny. That at-bat, I want to get your opinion on this, Roger. That at-bat reminded me of the battle that Eric Gagne had with Bonds up in San Francisco, where he was just like, look, I'm just going to throw this as hard as I can right down the middle and see if you can hit it. Because he missed the spot. The cutter did not cut on that pitch that Randy Arozarena hit out. I mean, what did you see there?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I thought something was going to give right there. I mean, they were just battling it out, and Kenley threw it as hard as he could, and he hit it, and it went out, It wasn't, obviously you don't want to give up any runs, but, the score was, was okay, it's like, I didn't mind it. What I saw prior to that at-bat, though, from Kenley, though, was like, I think, did he hit 95? I'm like, whoa.
He looked like his velocity was up there.
I'm like, this is, if this is the Kenley we got, going forward for the next couple games, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Now, it's funny. A lot has been said that Kenley talked to Charlie Huff. He talked to Rick Honeycutt. I'm sure they were working on some sort of mechanic thing. One of the things, and this was Alden Gonzalez, the writer for the LA Times who covers the Dodgers, brought this up, and that is that, sometimes Kenley gets out of whack where the top of his body isn't really sinking in with the lower part of his body, and that's what ends up causing him to have issues. If he's figured something out and that's what helped, I will say this, he looks like a much different pitcher these last 3 outings, even though Randy Arozarena took him out. He looked aggressive, and that's one thing that I liked about it. I didn't sense any fear. I didn't sense any lack of confidence in him tonight. He was just attacking every single header. And if you get beat, you get beat. But you have a 5-run lead, all right? So I'd rather you get beat with a 5-run lead than a 1-run game. Now, what would be interesting is if this was a 1-run game, do you still think Kenley would have pitched that 9th inning?
I think we might have seen him. I mean, he was rested, or maybe they would have managed the 8th a little different. Maybe would have had Trinan maybe come out a little later. But I think it's getting up there too, where Dave Roberts is trusting what he's giving him, and I think we're gonna see him in a tight situation if it comes to that.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because now the Dodgers are up 2-1. Everything is set up for them, and this is something that we discussed off the air, and I want to go ahead and bring it up now. If everything goes as planned, if Urias comes out there and gives another solid outing and the Dodgers win tomorrow, Sunday is going to be a closeout game with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. Now, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. Maybe this is a conversation that we will save for tomorrow night's show, but it's out there. I mean, it just seems like this whole run now is taking a magical element to it in the sense that they came back from a 3-1 deficit in the NLCS, and now to win the World Series and have Clayton Kershaw be on the mound, just putting it out there, just something to think about. I don't want to delve into it completely. As I said, I want to save it. Hopefully Urias does the job tomorrow, but I think going into Game 4, the Dodgers are set up nicely again, because now I think the fact that Morton wasn't able to go longer in that game, and we saw the bullpen earlier for Tampa Bay today, the Dodgers got to those relievers in Game 2. And I think the more the Dodgers offense sees those relievers, the more it might be trouble for Tampa, because it just doesn't seem like Tampa's offense is going to be able to match the Dodgers. They scored 2 runs today, okay? They scored 6 runs in Game 2, but the Dodgers helped them out there. They scored 3 runs. This is coming out to, if the Dodgers are just going to outscore the Rays, I don't see the Rays have a chance. What do you think, Roger?
Yeah, I mean, and I've told you guys coming into this series, Rays haven't been hitting a whole bunch in the entire postseason. When you looked at that lineup, they had like 2 guys. Randy and Margot, I think, were hitting pretty good. Everybody else was about 190 or below. And the first game, Kershaw shut him down. Second game, obviously the bullpen game, we didn't kind of really have. They couldn't do it with what they mixed and matched. And then today, Buehler shut him down. Now, if Julio does that again tomorrow, and then then you got Kershaw coming back, So it is set up very nicely for the Dodgers right now going forward. And like I said, if those two guys are on their games, I look forward to a conversation we might be having on Monday.
Look, I mean, yeah, but they got to go out there and they got to do their job. One thing that I want to talk about here is Austin Barnes. I heard this a lot on sports radio today, and Austin Barnes getting the start tonight, and that it seems that the Dodgers pitching staff seems to do a much better job when Austin Barnes is behind the plate. That Austin Barnes maybe does a better job of stealing some strikes. Now, this is an argument that I've heard for a long time. And when I first heard it, I really thought that this was kind of messed up because I thought they were kind of throwing Will Smith under the bus because he was a rookie catcher and that's the reason why the Dodgers pitchers were pitching poorly in the past. But now I don't know if you can argue with the results. It just seems that when Austin Barnes is behind the plate, maybe he's calling a better game. I don't know, but it just seems that our Dodger pitchers either feel more comfortable throwing to him or more successful. What do you think about that, Roger?
Yeah, I think it's the experience too. I mean, Austin is an elite, pitch framer. He gets calls that normally we might not be getting if it's Will Smith behind the plate. And taking nothing away from Will Smith because I mean he's he's still basically a rookie. I mean, and he's becoming one of the top catchers in the game already. And I think the more he's paired up with Austin, he's learning from him. And I mean, I think we're in a good spot. I mean, Barnes, great pitch calling. Even his bat's warming up right now. That Mookie effect. So I think Dodgers are in a good spot. With having either of those guys up behind the plate. And it's been said by the players. Julio said it. He trust both those guys behind the plate, whatever they're calling. And same thing for Walker. But I do think Walker is starting to feel a little bit more at ease with Austin behind the plate. Goes back to the NLCS where he got him out of that jam. Walker said he had never felt so comfortable in such a jam. He just went out there and he worked out of that jam. He said he never felt that comfortable in a game. So I think go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Fisher.
No, I was just gonna finish. I think just Austin is elevating these guys, right now, and he's making them feel really, really comfortable.
Honestly, just the way Walker Buehler is going, I think you could put a backstop over there. And I mean, this guy is just like what you said. It's just a big game pitcher. I mean, you go back to the one-game playoff against the Rockies, that Game 7 in the NLCS against the Brewers in 2018. The only game the Dodgers won in the 2018 World Series, even though he didn't get the win for it. It went 18 innings. I mean, poor Buehler deserved to win that game the way he was pitching against that Red Sox lineup. Buehler is just the real deal. The guy is wired differently. I don't know what it is. I mean, but he just shows no fear, and he just goes out there and attacks you. And I think the fact that maybe, when you throw in the high 90s, I think that makes you feel like you have no fear. But Buehler, to me, is fantastic. And now going into this Game 4 tomorrow, now we're hearing that the Rays are going to go with a bullpen game. So maybe they might have an opener in that first inning, and then they're going to go, it seems like, with the lefty Yarborough, which will then, for how many innings, which will be interesting to see then what the Dodgers do with their lineup tomorrow. Or do you expect to see A.J. Pollock in the lineup tomorrow?
I haven't seen anything yet from the Rays, but yeah, I mean, if they go with a lefty, yeah, we'll get that. The Dodger lefty lineup. Have AJ back in.
Even if they throw a right-handed reliever in that first inning.
I don't think it'd be such a quick hook. I think he might. I think their expectation they need to get some length from the pitching because they might be having a bullpen game for tomorrow and Sunday. So they're going to need a little bit of length from whoever comes out first, I would think. I think it's going to be a little bit more traditional starter.
So you don't think that the Rays come back with Glasnow in Game 5?
Let's see, pitch game 1. Yeah, I mean, They might,
I
but
mean, he'd be on regular rest.
he'd be on regular. Okay, I mean, but he did pitch. What did he pitch? 112 pitches last night.
Yeah, he did throw 100, which is, again, if the Rays end up losing tomorrow, I think that's something that Cash is going to get second-guessed again on as to why they allowed Glasnow to throw that many pitches when the game was getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Considering that in the ALCS, it seemed like the minute they threw one bad pitch, he would yank them. So why they would let Glasnow left him out to hang, I don't know. I feel like they kind of also left Morton out to hang tonight. But hey, it's to the Dodgers' benefit. But I think tomorrow, if Urias can go ahead and give you 5, give you 6, then you can go. I mean, we didn't see Baez tonight. We didn't see Joe Kelly. We didn't see McGee. I mean, at this point, it's look. I agree with you. I feel much better now because of the fact that Buehler was so dominant, and we could. And I really, honestly, I only think we saw Treinen, Gratterall, and Jansen because they needed the work because they haven't pitched the whole series.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, when Treinen came in and then Gratterall came in, people were like, why is Gratterall coming in? I'm like, well, he needs the work. He hasn't pitched in 5 days, and Gratterall came in. Yeah. He threw 7 pitches. So both him and Treinen are set up to come back out tomorrow if needed. And there's a lot of guys now that the bullpen is pretty rested. With the day off yesterday, like you said, you got Kelly, you got Baez, McGee, even Wood has, come out and pitched well. So Dodgers are in a real good spot right now, pitching-wise, I think.
Yeah, and I really like their approach with the lineup today. I mean, if those guys can come in there, the only thing that does concern me tomorrow is if the Rays try to pull any trickery because they haven't announced a pitcher yet. If they do go with an opener and then go to Yarborough in the middle innings, the left-handers tend to scare me. With the success that Snell had earlier in the series. But as you saw, as he went further along in that game, the Dodgers were able to figure him out. And the minute they started getting to him, they yanked him. So I do expect a shorter leash on some of those Rays pitchers in tomorrow's game if things start going left for them, because if they lose that game tomorrow, it's 3-1, and I know we've already seen a comeback from 3-1, and the Rays themselves almost blew a 3-0 lead, but this Dodger team is different, and this Kershaw, at least in this postseason, is different. He's 3-1. I would feel really good about Kershaw in Game 5. I mean, if it gets to Game 6, hopefully we don't have that conversation, but we can deal with it later. But right now, tonight, I think could not have gone any better for the Dodgers.
Juan, it is Yarborough. They just announced it, so yeah. Oh. So he'll get to start tomorrow. But you got to expect, they are going to have a short leash because they got to treat this as kind of like an elimination game, because they don't want to go 3-1 down to the Dodgers and then have to beat them 3 games in a row, which nobody's done this season.
Yeah, because if anything, like I said, whenever you have a chance to end a series, you should end it because you just don't know about injuries or anything like that. But Julio Urias and Yarborough will be the matchup tomorrow. We'll see what the Dodgers do with their lineup. Are we going to see Austin Barnes behind the plate again? Does that mean Will Smith is going to be the DH again? Considering it's Yarborough, it's a left-handed pitcher. Does that mean we go ahead and put Pollock out and left? One thing I want to give a shout-out to the human strikeout, Chris Taylor with a hat trick tonight. 3 strikeouts. It's been a while since I've seen Chris Taylor strike out that much, but it brought back memories of Chris Taylor from last year when he just seemed to be striking out a lot. I want to introduce a segment real quickly. This is our Tim McCarver segment. This is where we drop some Tim McCarver-like knowledge. So our Tim McCarver knowledge of the night is whoever wins this game is going to be the winner of Game 3. Roger, do you want to add anything to the Tim McCarver segment?
No, I think you said it. I think we're good. I mean, whoever wins Game 4, I think is going to be the winner. So I think we're good.
And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the kind of Tim. I hope you're enjoying retirement as much as I'm enjoying you in retirement. Shout out to Tim McCarver, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so that's going to do it for tonight. Just know also, you are watching After the Game with Alonzo and Juan. Alonzo hopefully will be back tomorrow night. So this Juan solo was just maybe a one-time thing. We are sponsored by Bleedlos. So for those of you who are looking for merchandise, please check out the Bleedlos website. For those of you watching on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Spread the word. Follow us on Twitter, DodgersBeat. So for Roger and Alonso, if you're watching, shout out. Stay safe. For those of you, the way Alonso says it, if you need to go out, please make sure you wear a mask and social distance. For After the Game with Alonso and Juan, and the Juan solo after a game. Good night, Dodger fans, and enjoy that win. The Dodgers are up 2-1 heading into Game 4 of the World Series. Good night.